I should probably mention that, like, so you know, like, Super Wars 30 is coming out?
Yeah.
It's the big mecha crossover and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking through a list of, like, series that was gonna be involved in it, and it's like, oh, I've seen, like, none of these except for the Gundam ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad to kind of go through and be like, okay, yeah, like, I want to check out, like, some of these older kind of, like, legacy mecha shows on the list, right? Like, I want to know what Mazinger is about. I want to know what effing, like, you know, Getter Robo even is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I checked out a bit of Gaogaigar. Yeah, Gaogaigar's definitely a mecha show, alright.
Yeah. No spoilers, those are the ones I might watch.
Yeah, it's...
I know that a lot of them are the direct inspiration for Gurren Lagann.
Yeah. Gaogaigar is, like, very specifically about just, like, this random astronaut who got, like, screwed up in a crash and became a cyborg from the neck down.
Huh.
And he just, like, shows up looking like the biggest, like, action figure promotion ever to, like, save the day in his, like, space robot lion mech that fuses with a bunch of, like, other vehicles to become an actual robot. And he is very insistent to people that he is 20. It's like, it's the most consistent thing as character is that he keeps telling people that he's only 20. The show very much wants you to know that he is no older than 20.
Okay.
Yeah, he just, like, goes as big, crazy, like, fusion robot or whatever. It's like, they're just evil robot aliens. They're just strip, like, for whatever reason, they made the creative decision where, like, the lair of the bad guys is just constantly flashing lights. Like, it's constantly flickering between, like, you know, animation and, like, pure black and, like, pure white in, like, really quick succession. It's like, it's at the point where it's physically, like, super hard to watch. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's like, I can kind of directly see why this show didn't take off, because the animation of the villains is actively trying to kill you. Like, you, the viewer. Man, they sort of, like, go out and they'll, like, find a person who's just angry at something or disappointed or has some negative emotion. And, like, sometimes not even that. Sometimes it's just a random dude. And they'll be like, hey, want power? And the guy'll be like, no. And they'll be like, too bad. And they just turn them into a robot that absorbs all technology around them. And they just form into an evil robot based on what they like or what they're thinking about or whatever. Like, there's an episode where there's just literally a guy stuck in traffic, and he's literally just sitting in his car like, oh man, I sure hate traffic. I wish there was a way to destroy traffic. And, like, a ballerina car girl just shows up. And she's like, oh, hey, do you want power to destroy traffic? I can give you power. And he's like, I know about this. And she's like, yeah, but you hate traffic, so there you go. And she just forces it on him. Okay. And he just becomes a giant, like, road roller robot that just destroys traffic and just runs over people's cars. It's like the dumbest crap. Like, There's just the dude who's just sitting around, he's like, oh man, I sure do like trains. And he's just got his little model train in his hand, like, while he's just hanging out at the train yard. And an alien will show up and be like, hey, how would you like to become a train? And he's like, what? And they turn him into a train robot. But yeah, Gaogaigar is weird. There's like a weird recurring thing where like, so like these, when they turn to the evil like robot things, they regenerate. So the only way to kill them is to like rip out the core. And like it cuts to this other random kid who's like, I assume the audience surrogate or whatever, who just like randomly is like, oh, I guess I have like space fairy powers or whatever, because he just grows like fairy wings and just flies off, and he has to like say a spell and it like turns the core back into a person.
Okay.
It's like, oh, so we got robot lions, we've got like cyborgs, we have like mechs that fuse with like railway trains and bombers and crap, and somewhere in this we've got like actual space magic to stop aliens that want to kill the audience by giving them a seizure, that are also like making people fuse with junk, I assume is supposed to be like the thing, because they like feel strongly about something. It's like, it's a very, very odd mix of things. It's like, it's a very watchful show. It's like Prayer Tang, but also like I could absolutely see why Gaogaigar didn't catch on more. This is a weird show. Like, just holy crap. Like, one thing I do appreciate is that, like, like each episode they're actively like, either introducing a new element or like, trying to like solve some like established problem or to like mix things up in some way. Like, there's a big thing early on where it's like, the hero's like trying to do the big like, like fusion of all the mechs and basically make the Megazord, and they make a huge deal about how it's like, no, like, it's impossible to do it, like, the programs aren't ready yet, like, the fusion's, like, gonna fail, and they, like, just straight up show the aftermath of that, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, we're using these giant, like, machines that are precision, like, moving in unison and stuff, and when crap messes up, like, stuff gets literally, like, ripped apart at the seams, basically. And it's like, oh, alright, so that's a big deal. And that kind of, like, stays a big deal for, like, a solid, like, bit early on. Because there will be, like, bits where, like, the main guy's, like, trying to do the big, like, Megazord fusion, and it's like, the legs, like, don't go in right, and it bounces off, or, like, you'll have, like, an enemy rot trying to, like, go in and, like, interrupt the fusion sequence or whatever. Like, stuff like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, like, that's definitely something to, like, keep the interest going outside of just the default formula. So, yeah, like, Gaogaigar, I'd suggest watching it or whatever, but the show wants to kill you, so watch it with caution.
Noted.
Yeah. Like, holy... Like, that's the thing, because it's not just, like, one scene either. It's, like, consistent. It's, like, every episode, the villains just have a little scene together, and it's just, like, seizure-inducing as crap. Like, holy crap, this show. But, yeah. So, I guess, like, any thoughts or more before we move on?
Not really.
Yeah, kind of thought so, I guess.